Okay, good evening and welcome to the February 24, 2025 meeting of the Barnstable Planning Board here at Barnstable Town Hall, 367 Main Street, Hyannis, Mass. We are in the James H. Crocker Jr. Hearing Room, located on the second floor, and it is 7:02 p.m. The meeting notice has been previously filed with the town clerk in accordance with Mass General Law. All application materials may be accessed to the planning board website or by contacting Karen Pina. That's karen.pina@town.barnstable.ma.us or calling 508-862-4064. Notice of recording. The meeting will be televised live via Xfinity Channel 8 or High Definition Channel 1072. It may also be accessed via the Government Access Channel live stream on the Town of Barnstable's website, streaming85.townofbarnstable.us/cablecast public site. And I will now inquire whether anyone else is recording the meeting, and if so, please make your presence known. Seeing none, I will call the meeting to order and introduce our board members and staff, starting with Matt.
Good evening, Matt Tague.
Michael.
Good evening, Michael Mancinas.
Tim.
Good evening, Tim O'Neill.
Jim.
Good evening, Jim Cupford, Director of Planning and Development.
Kyle.
Kyle Pedicini, Assistant Director.
Karen.
Karen Pina, Admin Assistant, Planning and Development.
And my name is Steve Robichaud. General public comment. We will now welcome any general public comment. This is public comment not related to an agenda item this evening. Seeing none, we will continue on to our first item this evening, which is an A&R plan. And Matt, do you mind reading the A&R plan this evening?
Sure. An approval not required plan entitled Approval Not Required Plan of Land on Parker Lane in Barnstable, Mass., prepared for Larry Nicholas, prepared by Gallagher Engineering, last revised January 21st, 2025, has been submitted to the board for endorsement as an approval not required plan. The plan proposes to divide Lot 2 on Parker Lane into Lot 2A and Parcel A.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And we are in receipt of a staff report dated February 24th, 2025. We'll welcome the applicant. Welcome. State your name for the record. Thank you, sir.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Larry Nicholas. I'm the owner of the parcel in front of you this evening. This is the same parcel that was approved on an approval not required back in July. At that time, it was one big 3.5 acre piece, 3.49 acres piece. The plan before you this evening is I'm making one lot 3 acres and then a small parcel A, 0.49 of an acre. It's an unbuildable lot.
Great. Yeah, seems very simple, straightforward, simple plan. Appreciate all the materials and the quick introduction. Staff, Jim, Kyle, anything to add?
No, nothing to add.
All right. Thank you so much. Any questions, comments, concerns from the board? Matt?
None. Thank you.
Michael?
None, thank you.
Tim?
My only question is just to refresh my memory. It doesn't impact this as an A&R. Was this a subdivision like 2 years ago? Was that this, and then there was a different subdivision for the lot behind it? This is that same property, right?
Yeah, we've had quite a few. You're a frequent flyer on this one. It's great to see you again, of course. Jim, you want to give us a kind of little background on it?
Yeah. So Parker Lane was extended slightly for the parcel for Mr. Egan, which is to the north of this parcel here, for 2 additional parcels, 2 single-family lots. And this also now enjoys the frontage of that, or a portion of that.
Great. Yeah, and of course, that history doesn't necessarily impact what we're looking at this evening, but I appreciate that background, yeah.
That'd be great.
Anything else from the board? Anything else from staff? Okay, we'd look for a motion on this.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion subject to the following findings. I would first, in terms of findings, that this plan does not constitute a subdivision because of the lots have the minimum required frontage on an existing way, having suitable grades and adequate construction to provide for the needs of vehicular traffic in relation to the proposed use and for the installation of municipal services to serve such use, or has been labeled as not buildable. And all materials and conditions of Chapter 801, Article 4, approval not required plans has been submitted or in full compliance. So subject to those findings, I would make a motion that we endorse the plan entitled Approval Not Required Plan of Land on Parker Lane in Barnstable, Mass., prepared for Larry Nicholas, prepared by Gallagher Engineering, last revised January 21st, 2025, as an approval not required plan.
Excellent. Thank you, Matt. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Michael. All those in favor? Matt?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
And myself, Steve Robichaud, votes aye. Motion passes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. Have a good evening. Next up, Tim, do you want to take our regulatory agreement?
Sure, just 1 second.
No problem.
Regulatory agreements, applicants Shoestring Properties LLC, Main Street Times LLC, and 259 North Street Limited Partnership collectively have submitted a regulatory agreement, application number 2025-001. I'd make a motion to open the public hearing.
Excellent. I will second that. All those in favor of opening the public hearing? Matt?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
And myself, Steve Robichaud, votes aye. The public hearing is open. And I think we have the applicant with us here this evening. Welcome. Thank you for coming. Please state your name for the record and give us your presentation. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Michael Princey. I'm with Princey Mills Law in Hyannis, Massachusetts, and I'm representing the applicant tonight, Shoestring Properties. Shoestring is the lead applicant, and this is not your usual regulatory agreement. I don't have a set of plans to show you. I'm not looking for any special privileges on design or layout or landscaping or parking. The three properties involved are kind of described best in the second amended Exhibit B that I hope is in your package or may have gotten to your package. But if you just have Exhibit B in front of you, most of the material in there is exactly the same as what I'm reading from. The only thing we added in the Second Amendment was a request that you consider making 70% of the total number of units, which is 10 here, available to local residents, and that's the only change. But essentially, we have three projects. All of them have been fully approved, fully vetted. The Cape Cod Times parcel was vetted through the local historical district. It was vetted through the planning board as part of the approval to renovate the Cape Cod Times building. And if you've been down there, the developer of that, which is the same entity or associated entity to Shoestring, did a terrific job. The apartments have been very attractive, very popular, nearly 100% rented, which is great. And in that particular project, as part of the approval, we were required to do 2 of the inclusionary units, which we have, and we've complied with that. As part of the 310 Barnstable Road, which is just completed, right next to my office building, and again, I get to give the developer there a lot of credit. If you didn't get a chance to go through the units and you need an opportunity to, anytime, any place, just give my office a call or Aaron a call, and we'll take you through it. I was amazed. I started out practicing law years ago in that building after the Garnick and Princey get-together. But the building is completely renovated, all new carpets, all new layout, all new bathrooms, all new kitchen. It is beautifully done, and again, I really encourage, if you haven't seen it, to see it. As part of that approval, we, the developer of that particular unit, or structure, had 2 one-bedroom units and 1 two-bedroom unit. And those are all dedicated now, and we're not looking to change that at all. Now, as part of the dockside, which is a project that's been in front of various boards, it was eventually approved by site plan, by the historical district, and it was approved on the new bylaw, and as part of the approval, the developer has committed to 5 inclusionary units. And those inclusionary units include 3 one-bedroom units and 2 two-bedroom units. What we're requesting today, and I'll just put together a little, I'll give this to you. It's a kind of a bullet memorandum of the foundation of our request and the reasons for our request, and I think it does make some sense.
Great. Appreciate that. Thank you. We'll have this added to the materials.
Now, in pure numbers, it's basically a 10 for 10. Of the 3 projects that I outlined for you in that Exhibit B, we are required to produce 10 inclusionary units. The 3 at Barnstable, at 310 Barnstable, stay there. We're asking to be allowed to take the 2 inclusionary units over at Cape Cod Times building downtown and put a 1-bedroom and another 2-bedroom dedicated in perpetuity as inclusionary units. That, I think, is a pretty straightforward swap, and the units over at Cape Cod Times, I think one of them is empty, the other one may still be rented for a period of time, and we would have to work with that tenant, obviously. If they wanted to stay there, they would be allowed to stay there, but if they wish to move over to a brand-new unit, they would have that opportunity as well. Both 310 and the Cape Cod Times building are obviously ready to be occupied, and some of the units over at 310 are already occupied. Now, with respect to the dockside, we're probably 2 years out from having anything available. And when we went before the Affordable Housing Committee, the first time we went before them, we had a couple of ideas that we threw by them, and they weren't happy with the approach that we took in the first effort. So we went back and we looked at it more closely, and what we heard them say is, we want units that are ready to go. We want units that are reasonably comparable, and we don't want to have any risks, our risks anyway, that it may or may not be built down the road. And again, you don't need to know what we were proposing before, but we came back to them a month or so ago, and we said, here's the deal now. This is a straight 10 for 10, and all of the units, all 10 units will be available now for occupancy. The other thing we did, recognizing that there would be some that would say, well, you know, you've got a brand new building going up over at Dockside, and that's a nice site over there. What we did was, Stu and I talked about it, and I said, look, the biggest need, and some of you are familiar with my background with Housing Assistance Corporation. I've worked off and on with them, mostly on, for 45 years. And I know from my experience with them that it's really hard to get 3-bedroom units. And frankly, when I saw the layout at 310, I wasn't aware originally they were going to have 3-bedroom units there. So I said to Stu, I said, look, instead of coming in and offering the 5 units from the dockside and switch them over there and just give back or offer back 2 2-bedroom units, let's give 2 3-bedroom units. And that's what we're proposing today. So the units, strangely enough, at the dockside that are designated for the inclusionary will have a view of the Steamship Authority parking lot, which is right next door, and a view of South Street looking north towards the hospital, west towards the hospital, east towards the hospital. The units at 310 similarly will have views of a parking lot and a residential neighborhood. The dockside approval, again, as I said, did not require any 3-bedroom units, but that's what we're offering back, 2 3-bedroom units instead of 2 2-bedroom units. The 310 1-bedroom units, interestingly, are larger and better laid out, I think, than the 3 1-bedroom units at the dockside. They, because of the limited number of square feet that we had at the dockside, those 1-bedroom units were condensed. They're 1-bedroom, and they're similar to other 1-bedrooms that are being sold for market, but the 1-bedroom units at 310 are bigger, more spacious, and much more comfortable. Right now, we also feel that there's a greater need for rental units, affordable rental units, than for ownership units. And again, in my knowledge of how HAC is doing with their lotteries, it's difficult now to find qualified people who have the down payment, who have the credit, who have the ability to borrow, and HAC is constantly looking for rental units to fill so that people who qualify for that 65% level of income, median income, will have an opportunity to have some place to live. The interior space of the 310 units, as I said, is also larger. The 310 units have a new heating system. It's called HydroHeat, so the cost of heating those units is going to be down. Comes with free Wi-Fi as part of the base rent. Dockside, as I said, would not be ready for 2 years. The dockside units will not be ready for occupancy for 2 years. And the 310 units actually have some recreational space inside and some recreational space outside that wasn't available because dockside is pretty much 100% lot coverage. They have better security over at 310. We have close to 30 cameras in the parking area and within the common areas for security of the tenants. The 310 units are closer to shopping, closer to banks, and really an easy walk up the street to various businesses. Again, we're not asking for any relief from the numbers of units that we're obligated to do. In fact, we're offering back more. We got a unanimous vote out of the Affordable Housing Committee for this, and that was encouraging to us that we put something together after listening to them that they really wanted. So today we come before you needing your approval to move to the next step, and that would be to get to the board of the town council and have them review our proposal as well and approve I do have a draft regulatory agreement, and I note that staff would like more time to go through it, and I respect the fact that it may require another look-see on that document to get it into a form that this board could vote. Excuse me one second.
Unlimited parking at 310, big deal.
I missed a bullet. Over at the dockside, and this was interesting when that got approved, very limited amount of parking at the dockside. It's one car, not truck, per unit at the dockside. At 310, there's like 3 spaces per unit. And the spaces for trucks and a lot of the people that will use our affordable units, the 10 that we're proposing, they're working in the trades. They're working at maybe starting their own business, and there's a lot of people with trucks that will be able to park there that wouldn't be able to park over at the dockside. So all that being said, I'm open to any questions. Mr. Bornstein's here tonight. Aaron Bornstein's here tonight, and we'll answer anything you have.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. I very much appreciate that. Board is in receipt of a staff report summarizing project. We also received 2 correspondence. One you touched on, which is the Housing Committee from the Housing Committee Chair, Hilda Hay, dated January 28th, 2025, as well as a letter from Alyssa Magnotta from Housing Assistance Corp., dated February 24th, 2025. Jim, regarding the Housing Committee letter, in reading that, is it safe to summarize that their recommendation is to proceed with the regulatory agreement as written?
Yeah, so that was the vote.
Got a positive recommendation.
Yes, there was a positive, unanimous recommendation to move forward with the draft regulatory agreement. And if I may, I could talk to the process there.
That'd be great.
So under Chapter 9, Article 1 of the Affordable Housing, Article 1 references inclusionary affordable housing requirements, and in Section 6 of that article, there is an ability to provide for affordable housing off-site. So that's in Section 9(6)(a)(2), and it's read as follows: the construction of required dwelling units at locations in the town of Barnstable other than the location that is the subject of the application may be considered. And in doing this, a regulatory agreement is required. So it's not just per the ordinance, it's a regulatory agreement. As you guys are well familiar with regulatory agreements, the different wrinkle here that Attorney Princey mentioned was that we're not here reviewing a development per se, but we're reviewing a specific request in the inclusionary affordable housing requirements article. And to start that process, it's the Barnstable Housing Committee shall act as a reviewing body for any development agreement proposed, and development agreement is used in this way as synonymous with regulatory agreement proposed under this section, and shall advise the town council. So they are acting as kind of the first round of review, much as the planning board does for any development proposals that typically come before you. And so they reviewed this and offered a unanimous recommendation to move forward with the regulatory agreement. I will also note that the only other slight wrinkle here is typically when you receive a regulatory agreement, there's a whole host of waivers being requested here. This is, again, a little bit different, and so because there is no zoning relief required here, it's just a majority vote of both the planning board and town council if the proposal doesn't alter in any way.
Yeah, okay. Appreciate that. Excellent. So, yeah, I mean, there's a couple things kicking around in my head. I think what we'll do just to start is, this is a public hearing. Why don't we see if there's anyone from the public? We don't have a huge crowd here this evening, but if there is anybody here that would like to speak to this item, I think this is a great time to do it. Seeing none, we'll continue on. One thing kicking around in my head is, we've got a skeleton crew here this evening. We've got 4 out of 7 members. So is it something that the board should consider to, continue it? Obviously, discuss it, take our time, kick it around, but is it something that we want to consider continuing to allow other members to participate? So that's one thing I'm kicking around, but we certainly can start by going through the members and giving some initial reaction. I'll kick it off. I've heard wonderful things from people who did go by, as well as from many town councilors. Just very, very impressive units. I didn't make it by myself, but I've heard great things. So spacious, well done, and the biggest thing for me is they're available now. You know what I mean? We can make an impact on families now. I love the fact that we received the update about 70% being available to local residents. I think that's phenomenal. Those are the people that we need to be helping out and that are in the most need. The biggest thing for me at first glance is just for us to grant the ability to put units off-site through a regulatory agreement. We've got to do our job, which is to negotiate the best deal for the town, because that's why we're here and that's why we were appointed. And so that's what I think about. What I'm looking at is, same amount of units, to a net improvement of 2 bedrooms, which is phenomenal. And, we've heard again and again from the Housing Committee and Hilda specifically that we need 3-bedroom units. So it was great to see those 2 bedrooms swapped for 3s. I know that town council is going to be, pushing for more. You know what I mean? I feel I have a good read on town council. I've talked to a few members there, and I want to do the best I can here to make sure that if it gets past us, that you get a stamp of approval from town council. So my inkling, my gut feeling is looking at kind of, let me stop and ask a question. The dockside units, are those for rent or ownership?
They would be for ownership.
For ownership, okay. So, I can't help but think about just the simple mathematics of the monetary value of that move from 5 units that would be for sale for ownership to 310, allowing the applicant to now sell those 5 at market rate to the public for ownership. You look at the numbers, and I feel the town should get at least 1 more unit out of this regulatory agreement. So that's kind of my initial read. I'm just one voice, but that's my initial read on the situation. And we'll go around and see what others think.
Just
Matt?
one
Yeah.
quick response.
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
You can see
please.
that as a sign of good faith, we did come in and want to offer you more than a straight 10% swap. And the 3-bedroom units seem to make sense based upon what Affordable Housing Committee told us and based upon what I know the needs are, so.
Absolutely. There's a ton of good here.
And I appreciate your
Sure.
good faith
Yeah,
remarks
and,
back. So-
and again, there is a lot of good here. You know, there's a lot of pros, and I'm all for this. I want to see this go through. But again, I like to get a good pulse and a good read of town council and where I forecast them to be. I have had experiences where, actually, Stu, with you, I've had experiences here at the planning board where we pushed something along and it didn't make it past town council, and it kills me.
We don't want that to happen.
No, and I don't either, you know, because I feel this board digs in and works on things and tries to come up with a good compromise. So I'd love to see it get through both boards. You know, it puts everyone in a tough spot where if it gets past us and then gets hung up at the town council, that's not where any of us want to be. So I'm just putting that out there. Matt, you want to share comments, thoughts?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I did visit 310 Barnstable Road, and it's quite a nice building. The units are very nice, very well done, and it's nice to see that sort of effort being put into, you know, rental housing in the town. It's really, really great reuse of the building. How many units are currently at 310? How many total are in that?
29.
29. And was there a requirement to have any of those units restricted, income restricted? How many of the 29? Three?
Three.
Three. Okay.
And that's included in that total number of 10 that I kept referring to.
So we're talking, I just want to make sure the numbers work out here, right? So we're talking about, we're gonna put three more units under deed restriction at 310 and two more at the Cape Cod Times building, is that correct?
No, what we're going to do is take the 2 units at Cape Cod Times building, 1 2-bedroom, 1 1-bedroom, designate those over at 310, the brand-new units, and we
Okay.
put deed restrictions on 2 more units. So the 3 units we're required to under the permitting. 2 more units from Cape Cod Times will be deed restricted, and then the heart of the request is obviously the 5 units from the dockside, 2 3-bedroom, 3 1-bedroom, deed restricted. So all 10 units at dockside will be deed restricted in perpetuity.
Right, I understand that, but where I'm missing the math here is that, so we're going to take currently unrestricted units at the Cape Cod Times building and put deed restrictions on them, or no?
Now, we're going to take 2 units that are deed restricted at the Cape Cod Times building, remove the deed restrictions.
Put them at 310.
And move those into brand-new units
Yep.
over at 310.
I got you, okay. I guess my only concern, and despite the fact that our regulations consider this sort of thing, and I commend you guys for I assume this is the first time we've done this in the town? I believe.
If it's not, it's been a long time.
Okay. Yeah, I just think it sets a precedent, right? I mean, you know, this is, and I can see an argument that it's positive, and I can see an argument against it. I think if I think stacking the units in a part of town that's already challenged is a hard thing for me to get over, right? You know, I guess the other question I have is let's just say somebody comes in with a multi-unit project somewhere else in town, not in Hyannis, right? 40B, whatever it is, Marston's Mills, and they go, you know what, I just throw them in Hyannis, right? Because that's the thing I hear all over the place, right? We sit here and we talk about affordable housing, and it's awesome, right? Super great need, and again, don't let a good crisis go to waste, but like as long as it's over here, I'm cool with it. Right? As long as it's not in my backyard, I'm all right with it, right? So that's kind of my only reluctance with it. I totally understand the rationale, and I do appreciate getting more 3-bedroom units than would have been required, right? So you guys are going to offer those up. I think it's great. But, you know, I think internally I struggle with the stacking concept, right? I mean, you can't block bust in a town, but we're doing it backwards.
Except for one thing. This is Hyannis to Hyannis. If this project were in Katuitt Bay, I can tell you we would not be here trying to move the units into Hyannis. We would understand that under the regulations that control the ability to do an offset or to do a mitigation of some type, it just wouldn't fit. But this is Hyannis to Hyannis. Right up the street from the dockside is Cromwell Courts, and it's a major affordable housing complex managed by the Barnstable Housing Authority. So the neighborhoods, and the downtown neighborhood, of course, is got scattered, affordable. I will tell you that at 310, I asked Aaron, who are you renting to right now? Because you're open for rentals. He said, they have a Boston executive who wants to have a place in the Cape. They've got a nurse practitioner who's trying to set up a business or something down here. So they're not, it's going to be a work for, the way the rents are geared, the market rents are geared, it's going to be a pretty good complex with a mixed group of people. A lot of people who are working people in the community have the ability to pay that little extra amount per month. So again, it's Hyannis to Hyannis. The neighborhoods have a lot of similarities. The only difference is, you've got a building on Hyannis Harbor in the dockside. But in terms of quality of units, quality of life, quality of the product that they'll be moving into, it's going to be very, very similar, if not better, at 310. So,
Thank you.
Great, appreciate that. Thank you, Matt. Michael, initial comments, thoughts?
Yes, thanks, Mr. Chairman. So first of all, I want to commend you. You guys did a terrific job there. I had the opportunity to visit twice. Great location, very spacious. I visited all the unit, including the studio. And one thing you forgot to mention is that every unit has laundry, which was great. It has every unit, and everything is brand new, which was terrific. Parking space available. In my opinion, it is affordable. So I am 100% in favor of this. So great job.
let me add one other thing. My building's right next door to it. So in terms of any thought that having, a few more affordable units next door, of course, given my background, I'd be the last person in the world to be a NIMBY, but, I saw what Stuart was doing there. I had the ability to look through it as he was doing it. What I even noticed is that the house just behind both of our properties, which has been a sore issue for the two of us over the years in terms of things that my landscaping son would find behind in my parking lot, things that I wouldn't want my grandchildren to run into or get near. That house is now being completely renovated, and I think there's another one right next door to that. So if nothing else, he's brought some upgrading to our mutual neighborhood. So again, I don't see an issue with, again, having 10 affordable units there. I have a sense there's going to be somebody that might be working on my roof, somebody that's going to be fixing my air conditioning system or electrical system. So nice to have them next door.
Yeah, well said.
I agree.
Michael, anything else?
That's it. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah, no, great comments, Michael. Before I go on to Tim, just a couple other things I wanted to just say. Both sites have such great positives, such great pros. They're walkable sites. They're near public transport, and to your point, that area on Barnstable Road really has improved dramatically. You look at how close that is to so many convenient things that people need in their regular everyday lives. So, yeah, I think 310's a wonderful site. You have done a wonderful job, Tim.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I was lucky enough to be able to view the property. I can't remember if it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I was impressed. I've seen a lot of different affordable housing projects and affordable units in renovation settings or in new construction, and I thought the units were impressive. Especially with the amenities that are not usually offered, in some affordable units, like the in-unit laundry, the free Wi-Fi, the parking, I think like the landscaping and the snow removal, like all that was, kind of like included in the base. There was no house fee for some of that, and that's just kind of like, not the standard in that world. And I do remember and I can't remember which version of it on the dockside had come through before, and there was some discussions with the Affordable Housing Committee, and I remember hearing that need for 3-bedroom units. That's the most in-demand thing, wanted to have it. It was a 3-bedroom unit. So, I think it's great to be able to include that. And, with the unanimous support of the Housing Committee to hear that, they want these units right now. They're rental units. It's not, okay, 2 owned units here. It's not, I don't know if the Cape Cod Times is owned or rented. I don't know what those units are.
Those are all rented.
Those are rented. Yeah. But to kind of consolidate them and have, brand new, larger size units available right now in a place in town that, was the focus of the new zoning. It did include that Barnstable Road up to that Rotary because, this is an area that's been kind of slated for, to promote new growth and redevelopment. And, I think this project is, and I don't know if the zoning actually affected the rest of this permanent building, this project or not. I don't know if it was by right before that or not, but, this is what we want to see, stuff like this. This is great. And as far as the question of, well, okay, it's a little weird, it's swapping some units from, this one project that's to be built and some existing, and okay, what does that mean and what should the ask be? I don't know, it seems straight line for me, the needs, being told to us by the Housing Committee seem to be, met with this applicant here, or with this application as it is. So I would kind of defer to the rest of the board on, how that conversation should start. But in general, I think this is a good thing. Yeah.
Great, well said. Just in terms of, kind of contemplating next steps here, again, I do feel strongly that it's going to take, one additional unit to get this over the line. Not necessarily at this board, but I feel at the I feel support from this board, clearly. To me, I feel it would take one more to get it over that next hump, and I feel it could, that additional unit could be anything. It could be a 1, it could be a 2, it could be anything. But that's just my opinion. Just want to poll the board here, just in terms of whether or not we want to let the applicant think about that and let some other board members look at this at our next meeting, or if the 4 of us just want to go for a vote. I'm fine either way, but I would like to know what other members think. Tim?
And actually, Steve, if I could just, I think, did I hear that there was a red line, like there's still some red lines in this that the staff needs to review? Like this isn't ready to go tonight anyway, or is that?
It's a good question. Jim, where are you on that?
Yep. So before you do have a draft regulatory agreement, it does need to go through legal's final review of the wordsmithing of it.
Yeah.
That can take 2 forms. If the board is comfortable with the substance of the agreement, we certainly can do it. The legal team could revise the red line version for town council, not changing the substance, being the like to like or the number of units if you so chose.
Okay.
Or you could certainly continue the matter and wait for that final red line version. But again, legal is going to be looking at it from the agreement as to form as opposed to the substance.
So certainly a motion this evening could be subject to legal review. Okay. Matt, your thoughts on kind of next step?
I'm okay. I'm okay with it overall. I think adding, offering the 2 3-bedroom units is really important, and that does really hit the nail on the head in terms of need. I would be in support of it, subject to, final review of the regulatory agreement.
Okay. Michael?
I'll second that. Absolutely agree.
Yeah, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good as is, but, I share your concern that, I want to see it pass town council too.
Yeah, so, I think, it's clear that the 4 of us are ready to vote on this evening. We will go for that, but I would just like to put it out to you. Is there an opportunity for an additional unit, keeping in mind that this board feels strongly that will likely be needed at the next level? What are your thoughts?
Well, I know we vetted that, and one of the ideas that frankly Stuart and Aaron came back with was I thought was significant was the 2 3-bedroom units, because that's where he makes a little bit extra money, and he's not going to anymore. I will point out also, and I don't know all of the different deals that all the developers get that do this type of work, but I do know that there are some types of tax credits that some of the developers do get from the town by doing these types of projects. I will point out that on 310 Barnstable Road, the Bornstein entity that did this did not ask for any tax credits back, so we're getting nothing back from the town from that building whatsoever. And that's in the tunes of millions of dollars that might have come back over time. So I didn't mention that in the beginning, but it's certainly a consideration from my client's standpoint in terms of adding another unit beyond the 3.
Sure, definitely
So I would
consideration.
ask to-
I appreciate that.
Okay.
Michael, go ahead. Yeah, I mean, I think we're ready to make a vote on this. Matt?
I'll just throw a concept out there in terms of just the legal review. I mean, we could close the public hearing tonight and then just vote on it at a subsequent hearing. If
I
that-
do agree with that. I guess my only concern with that would only be if other members other than the 4 of us did attend that meeting and their comments weren't able to be kind of, perceived by the public, I guess. But
They should show up to the meeting.
yeah, it's a good point. Fair enough.
I
Fair
prefer a
enough.
vote and subject to legal review. And
Yeah, I mean, certainly, I'm
moving.
fine with
Yeah,
that.
I'm just
Yeah.
concerned that if there's substantive changes to the regulatory agreement, then we would have to come back. I mean, I'm trying to avoid having to come back for a public hearing again because we've had to make some substantive change.
I
That's
think-
all. I procedurally is what I'm concerned about.
I tweaked it a couple of times this week, and I think it's really, in terms of form, there might be some wording changes, but in terms of the approvals, I think it's very straightforward, and legal might strike out some of my words, but not the substantive parts.
Sure, and I do agree with that. I did give it a read, and I had no issues with that. Jim, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think any motion, if you were to move forward with a motion, it would just simply be to recommend approval of the regulatory agreement, and then state the units as really defined here in the draft regulatory agreement towards the end of page 3 onto page 4, so 1, 2, and 3. Let's see.
We don't have a draft reg agreement in our packets.
It might
Oh,
be-
you don't have it
Well, it's probably in the
printed?
laser,
Yeah.
what do you call it?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I
bring a
can
copy
provide
with
that
me.
to you. And then, so really, I can read it aloud right now for you. So in the draft, it states, so on or within 90 days from the effective date of the agreement, the applicants will redirect and designate the 2 inclusionary units, 1-bedroom unit and 2-bedroom unit at the Cape Cod Times Building, 310 Barnstable Road, 310 Barnstable Road, and will encumber the 2 units with a deed restriction as inclusionary affordable units in lieu of the 2 current units at Cape Cod Times. Number 2 is on or within 90 days from the effective date of the agreement, the applicants will redirect and designate the 5 affordable inclusionary units, the 3 1-bedroom units and 2 2-bedroom at Dockside Project, 310 Barnstable Road, and will upgrade the 2-bedroom units to 3-bedroom units, all of which will be encumbered with deed restrictions as inclusionary affordable units. The applicant will then have a total of 10 inclusionary units at 310 Barnstable Road available for use and occupancy, rather than waiting several years for the dockside. The 7 additional inclusionary units at 310 Barnstable Road will be immediately available in lieu of the 5 units at Dockside and 2 at Cape Cod Times. Of the 10 total units, 70% will be dedicated to town residents. So that's the substance, and so certainly the town legal department may revise the legal as to form, but if the motion were to reflect approval as defined in the draft 1, 2, and 3, subject to legal's review, you certainly could make that amendment, and that would then proceed to town council, but unless, for whatever reason, some substantive issue does arise. we would-
Okay.
we would come back.
Now, before I go to you, Tim, you just mentioned an amendment, but what you just read, isn't that our current draft regulatory agreement?
Yes.
That's correct, yeah, that's.
So the motion could be, a motion to recommend the execution of RA 2025 according to the current draft regulatory agreement, subject to legal review to town council. Okay. Do
That's
something like
certainly
that.
sufficient, yes.
Yeah, understood. Okay. All right, I'm prepared to do that, but first, Tim, you had something?
Yeah, I just, I think this came up at one of the previous reg agreements. Remind me again, if this goes to town council, and if for some reason somebody on town council, or if the vibe is that they would like to ask for another unit, they can't modify it at town council. It would just have to come back, like it's dead in the water, then it comes back here blank. Is there a non-reapply thing? Like a little, with the regulatory tool, regulatory agreement tool, is there a potential there for,
I think they can modify it. I believe they can modify it at town council. Yeah, Jim's checking.
to make sure it's
I
not
think
one of
they
those,
have-
oh, if they don't
yeah,
like it, and then they can't reapply for a year or two?
No, I think they can take the fact that we, sent a positive recommendation, and then they can adjust it further, should they please.
Okay.
Yeah, Jim, your thoughts?
Yeah, so it reads, no regulatory agreement may be executed by the town manager prior to an affirmative majority vote by the planning board and the town council recommending the execution of a regulatory agreement. When a waiver from zoning is allowed, which doesn't apply here, 2/3 is required. So it doesn't state that the town council can't further amend it. I guess it could certainly be up to them whether they want to send it back if it was to be,
A
if it
very
was,
substantive change or something.
if there was a
yeah.
significant substantive change and they wanted your recommendation, they certainly could send it back. But if you're offering the recommendation, they could certainly make some adjustments to it.
Yeah, okay.
I would also,
Yes.
Steve, in your motion, I would also mention the 70% to local residents.
Yeah. Is that currently in the,
That's the amendment you mentioned, correct, Mr. Princey?
okay.
Yep.
So I would recommend with the amendment pertaining to 70% of units being available to local residents.
So that is so the amendment was referred to, but Attorney Princey actually did provide us with that draft, and that is the one that's in.
That's
your-
the-
Oh, so that's in the draft.
That's in
I
it.
Oh,
I
good.
updated the
Okay.
draft regulatory agreement to add exactly what we talked about tonight.
Great, so I don't need to shout that out as an amendment.
That's correct.
Understood. Thank you. Appreciate that, Matt. Anything else from members before we look for a vote? Okay, excellent. All right, I move to recommend the execution of RA 2025-001, Shoestring Properties LLC, Main Street Times LLC, and 259 North Street Limited Partnership, according to the current draft regulatory agreement, subject to legal review to Barnstable Town Council. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Tim. All those in favor? Matt?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
And myself, Steve Robichaud, votes aye. Motion passes. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, no general correspondence this week. Jim, how about some staff updates?
A lot of stuff going on here in the town of Barnstable. Tomorrow night, the local comprehensive planning committee will reconvene to continue to review the red lines of the draft plan. Once finalized, it might take another meeting to get through all the changes, but once finalized, the draft will go out to the public for formal review from our community.
Thank you, Stu. Appreciate it.
Additionally, the zoning ad hoc subcommittee from town council has been meeting regularly. They met last week. They will be meeting again next week and seeking to finalize a memo to town council here in March with recommendations on potential zoning amendments, including downtown Hyannis zoning, regulatory agreements, the solar overlay, and maybe a few others. Thursday night, the town council will be taking up the housing production plan. This is a hearing for a vote to approve the housing production plan, and they've asked for a kind of workshop style where we will be presenting the plan to them. The ADU ordinance is being considered at town council on March 6th. The updates, and we've made some small tweaks based on our discussions here to offer to town council. The open space plan is going to kick off here in the next month or so. We did receive favorable approval from CPC and town council for funding to seek a consultant to assist us with the plan, and we also have been awarded the subsequent grant from the state to offset some of that cost. So we will be beginning work on that fairly soon. And then I think that's about it for tonight.
Appreciate that. Excellent. It's a lot. I came from CPC earlier. That's why I was a little bit behind. There's a lot going on there. DPW has come to us with 5 applications and letters of intent. One for the rail depot in West Barnstable, Meeting House Road. Rehab over there, the Centerville Recreation Building, downtown Centerville. Believe it or not, the Marston's Mills Airport. They got a hangar there that they want to rehab, and then the old jail in Barnstable Village, our stomping grounds, and the Hyannis Armory, which is a huge one. Yeah, big.
That one's been talked about for a long time.
Long time. Yeah, one of the neat things that came out of the conversation tonight was the fact that there would be they hope or are thinking about some sort of a meeting space in there that could hold 200 to 250 people. And the CPC stressed that we would love to see that as a multi-purpose type space, potentially for concerts or art shows or, certain things like that. So, yeah, just some really cool stuff happening. The Land Trust is partnering with CPC for, I can never remember the name of the golf course. You'll know. Downtown Katuitt, small 9-hole.
Oh, the high grounds.
Yeah, the high grounds. Yeah, so that's going to change hands, and hopefully the Land Trust and CPC can partner on that.
Yeah, I had heard that. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're trying to keep it, what it is, yeah.
Yep, keep it what it is, but make it very organic and environmentally sound, to not have a negative impact. Even talks of drilling a well, so they now no longer have to use town drinking water to water it. So, yeah, just a lot of cool, good things. And then my favorite one is potentially, we actually made a motion this evening to authorize $5,000 in our administrative funds to go for an appraisal for the Anthony Cummaquid Inn property, which is, of course, everyone
yeah.
knows sits half on Barnstable,
Yeah,
half on Yarmouth.
Like the town lines, like diagonal through, like the main building, and there's some outbuildings.
It went
Some
through
of
the
them in
building,
Barnstable,
right.
Some of them are in Yarmouth. That's
Yeah.
an interesting parcel. Yeah.
Very interesting, and I think they said there was something like 6 structures on that site, which I had no idea.
There used to be multiple houses behind it. It was
Okay.
pretty amazing to watch it go up.
Oh, the whole place was not in very good shape, yeah.
That's what I've heard. But, if you think about where this could go, if there was a partnership with Barnstable and Yarmouth with both receiving grants and, picture that it's a 10-acre site, sitting perched way above Barnstable Harbor, just the marsh, Sandy Neck, the lighthouse. Picture that with a parking lot and a park.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that that's something that, but I can't help but get excited about the possibilities. You know what I mean? It's like a bird's eye view of, the north side of the Cape.
You should ground lease it to the Wauquasit.
Oh, come on, Matt.
I was gonna say, have you ever had
Kids need schools and
Oh,
books and
God.
shoes. We need tires on the DPW trucks.
Oh, that's classic.
kind of like a mask going
Best
on
view
that
of Cape Cod Bay on the Cape.
It is, no question.
one.
It's
Oh,
just,
over Sandy Neck right there, yeah.
yeah, and the height. You don't realize how high that is until you get back there. The height is incredible.
It drops way down, right
Right.
there on top of that marsh.
Yeah, no question about it. So I can't help but get excited at the possibilities. Yeah. All right. Anyways, moving along. Everybody have a chance to look at the February 10th, 2025 draft minutes. Okay, beautiful. Look for a motion to approve.
Stain.
Matt's abstaining. That would only give us 3, so let's kick that to the next meeting. Karen, you want to put that on the next?
I wasn't here.
Yeah, all good. No, we'll do it next time. Future meetings, March 10th, March 24th, 2025, here at Town Hall, 7 p.m. Staff, anything before we adjourn?
Nothing further.
Beautiful. Board, all set? Good stuff?
I will ask people to take a look at the Commission to Unlock Housing has published a report. I don't know if you guys have perused that.
Commission to Unlock Housing.
Yeah.
Is this a state commission?
State Commission, yep. And I would suspect we're going to see more sorts of push state down for zoning reform. So get ready for that.
Jim, is that something that staff could locate and send out? Okay.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Is that where the that lot merger thing, did it come out of that committee? Oh.
This is over and above that. That they everything's on the table. Everything.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know how much of it will stick, but it's very, very progressive. Some of it's really interesting. Be kind of fun to see if it moves forward.
Cool. No, thank you for pointing that out. We'll look forward to getting that. Okay, I move to adjourn this evening's meeting. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Matt. All those in favor, Matt?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
And myself, Steve Robichaud, votes aye. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.